I'm just going to wait a few minutes here to wait for people to hop on here. And as I do, if we can just pause a moment. There's a lot of people being triggered right now on all different fronts. Survivors are being triggered. And those who may have wronged somebody else are also being triggered right now. So while we're waiting, I just want to take a look here and just take a pause right now, take a deep breath. Please share your experiences, even if I'm still talking. It's very important we do that. And but before we start, because it is a heated debate, I really encourage you to take a deep breath right now. Unplug. This is just my view. And I've got the doggies here with me. And Rufus is over here in the woods somewhere. So for me, this is what brings me back and helps me ground as we go through this. So let's talk about Kavanaugh. Whoops. Let's talk about Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford and what's really going on. Okay. I just came back from the National Domestic Violence Conference this week. For those who don't know my story, that's for another day. You can also visit my YouTube channel where I talk a lot about my story there. There's plenty of live feeds there that I've done that posted there if you are interested. So I don't want to go too much into my story here because they've already been talked about. And the one thing I will say, why is this important? Why now? You know, a lot of things have been filtering and it's been triggering a lot of people in a lot of different fronts. And what really concerns me is the anger that's being lashed out. And that usually says to me either they haven't dealt with their shadows or those individuals have actually hurt another human being and have not been accountable for their actions. And they are afraid that a victim will come out and blame them or name them. So if you have nothing to hide in your closets, then there's nothing to worry about. But even if you made a mistake and you hurt somebody, come clean and just deal with it. But this stuff does matter. It matters now. One of the things I noticed when I was at the conference, we watched a video, or documentary I should say, called Home Truth. And I found it interesting. It talks about the 15 years of a woman's journey in a case where her abuser murdered her 3 children. And she had called the police department 9 times. And the police actually flat out refused to enforce the restraining order. It ended up going to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled against her 7-2, citing that the police department does not have the authority or something like that to enforce a restraining order. And that's a harsh blow for survivors because what do we do if we're told the police department's supposed to, and it says in the restraining order, arrest on site, and the U.S. Supreme Court says, no, you don't have to do that. That's scary, and that's also dangerous. And it ended up killing her 3 children. So she took it to a higher court, an international court, and this international court found that the U.S. Supreme Court, aka the U.S. government, violated 4 articles of human rights violations. This is what us as survivors are fighting for. Are you hearing me? Please tell me you're hearing me. This has less to do about Dr. Ford than has to do with the rights, the human rights that women have fought for. We are no longer property to the white privileged male, the Harvard rich privileged male. I was retaliated against. I was sanctioned. And not only was I retaliated against and sanctioned, I was silenced for advocating for myself and 20 other families in Massachusetts family courts. So and I was gagged. So this is an important topic, and this goes above and beyond what's going on with Kavanaugh and with what's going on with Dr. Ford. I think people are picking at the nuances and not looking at the bigger picture of what's going on here. And if you want to see the bigger picture, DVR, put your things on, your whatever, on PBS on Wednesday, October 3rd, and watch Home Truth. It is important because this case, which has been in the works for 15 years, this is not a new case. This does not have anything to do with all of a sudden coming out just to ruin Kavanaugh. This has been in the works for 15 years, this case. The timing is impeccable. And I think if you watch this documentary, you will not want Kavanaugh on the U.S. Supreme Court. If you have children, you're not going to want Kavanaugh on the U.S. Supreme Court. Please talk to me. Please tell me your thoughts, because I don't want to do this live video, just me preaching. This is supposed to be an open conversation. I want this to be an open conversation. We need to have this as an open conversation. I need you to tell me what is going on, what you are feeling, and is anything that I am saying resonating with you? I am seeing spiritually so-called people attacking victims. I'm seeing healers attacking victims. Well, let me tell you something. I've spent 13 years helping victims. I've also been, up until recently, one of the only healers outspoken about the infiltration of predators coming into the healing arts and the spiritually based communities. And I have been so happy to see over the last 6 months that this needs to stop, and that others are speaking out of what's happening about predatory behavior. So we need to have this conversation. And Christopher, tell me how I'm off base, because we have a U.S. Supreme Court case already that has been documented where an international court said the U.S. Supreme Court has violated 4 articles of human rights violations in a domestic violence case. So tell me how I am off base, please. I would like to know. And if anybody else, please chime in. Again, this is not. Please share your experience. I was raped at 15, by the way, by a 17-year-old. I am going to be 48. For 31 years, I have never spoken out about it. To this day, I have never said his name. Because what would be the point if I said his name, of who raped me and cost me my virginity at 15? But I will tell you, if he ran for political office, and I guess what, maybe he would someday, and if he did, I have this to back me up, this video. There would be a reason and a purpose to name him. Because I don't want somebody sitting in political office who is going to regulate laws that are going to hurt other 15-year-old girls. Is this making sense? I'm not seeing any of you. You guys, there's a lot of watchers. But I would like a conversation. Let's have a conversation. How do we move forward? How do we use what is happening to propel us in a movement where women can feel safe, where men can feel safe, where men are taught, boys are taught to respect woman? Because it is woman, after all, that gave them their first home. Not man, woman, in their womb. Please share your experiences and thoughts. This is a community. This is a community where we need to be heard. There's so much we can talk about this, and I'm trying to keep this portion simple right now because I have a lot of ideas of various live feeds I want to do. So I don't want to overcomplicate this particular feed. And I think it's important that we talk about what this means on a bigger level and on a bigger scale. It is bigger than what you... First of all, I want to know, How interesting that the Democrats and the Republicans, you think that they don't know about this documentary? You think that they don't already know that this documentary has been made and shown? And how interesting nobody is talking about it? And there's a huge push to get Kavanaugh appointed even before this documentary airs? Why? Why? Tell me. What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid? What frightens you more than anything in this whole process? What do you need to feel supported? How can I help you? This is the conversation we need to have too. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid your rights are going to be taken? Because let me tell you something, those that are being angry and are lashing out right now against survivors and about Dr. Christine Ford, let me tell you something, the message you are sending. And I pray to God you do not have children that are watching what you are posting on social media. Because those children are seeing that if they ever get raped, they cannot feel safe coming to you. Because they're watching their aunt, their uncle, their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, their classmate. Victim blame, ridicule, shame. What are you afraid of? What do you need to feel okay to come out and speak your truth? That's what's important. We're going to do a series of this, so I hope you bear with me as we go through the process, because there's so much going on in my head right now, and I don't want to overwhelm you. And I'm hoping the next time I do the live feed that I hope that we have more of a conversation of this, not just me preaching. This is not about me preaching. This is about having a conversation, an open conversation about a big problem that we have, but also the movement that we are creating. This is awesome. And I have not felt, let me tell you something, I heard an 11-year-old speak this week that would put all of us adults to shame. I heard a 15-year-old speak this week that would make you cry. She had a letter written and posted on change.org, got over 70,000 signatures on there. 15 years old. Because she's watching us adults condemn a 15-year-old mind. And she's speaking out. So let's join together. I want to have this be a conversation. I don't want this to be a he said, she said. And above all, watch that documentary airing this Wednesday on PBS called Home Truth. I promise you they aired it at the National Domestic Violence Conference. We saw it. And it will, if it does not move you as to why Kavanaugh should not be on the bench, I don't know what else could be. Because we had 7 U.S. Supreme Courts violate, human rights violate a survivor of abuse. And an international court has been on the U.S., has condemned the U.S. for violating human rights violations of domestic violence victims. That is what this whole Kavanaugh Supreme Court issue is all about. It matters. My voice matters. Your voice matters. Dr. Ford's voice matters. My 15-year-old daughter, my 18-year-old daughter, and my 21-year-old daughter's voice, who have been silenced, matter. Because God forbid If those who ridicule our children, they're watching us. They're watching us. Their voice matters, because the rape of children under the age of 18 is humongous. Be careful what you say about survivors of abuse, because it's shaping our children right now. Be the voice. Be the champion. I want this to be a conversation. Join in it with me. Until next time, peace out.